I lived in a gold-plated cage. Every day I wore beautiful clothes, ate exquisite foods. I also got tutors for everything from ancient history to music, but I was never allowed outside until he arrived. He was my age, assigned as my personal guard. For the first time, I had someone to share all my books with. He was a complete Mr. Know-it-all. We talked for hours until I drifted off to sleep. When I asked about the world beyond these walls, he described winter snow, spring blooms, and starry night skies. I begged him to sneak me out. He panicked, but after a while, he gave in.
Okay, but just for a little while.
He said in a calm voice, then he took me to his village. His mom cooked us the most delicious meal, and at night we sneaked out to the beach. Under a blanket of stars, I fell in love with freedom. I couldn't go back. I convinced him to run away with me forever. We built a simple life. We cooked and went out for a walk together until my 16th birthday. We were celebrating when his mom handed me a plate of food. After one bite, I fell onto the ground. When I woke up, I was chained in a cold cellar. His mom stood over me. She was a witch. Then she told me a dark secret. Whoever claimed a princess's heart on her 16th birthday gained immortality. She promised to return at midnight to take mine, then walked away and slammed the door. Time ran out and I thought I was hopeless. The heavy door burst open. It was him. Without a word, he unlocked my chains and rushed me through the woods back toward the castle. When I begged to know what would happen to him, he just whispered.
I'm sorry.
Then he gently kissed my forehead and ran back into danger. The king and queen were shocked to see me, but when I told them about the witch, the royal army raided her home, capturing her and the boy. I begged for his life, but the king gave me one condition. Only when I chose a suitor from the grand hall and marry him. That night, before a room full of suitors, I set my terms. Whoever tells a story that moves me to tears wins my hand. One by one, they failed with empty words, until the mask guy stepped up and moved everyone with his own story. He spoke of a boy torn between duty and love, who risked death just to see a girl smile under the stars. Tears spilled down my face. He reached up, pulled off the mask, and revealed his face. It was him. He confessed his love, right there in front of the court, and for the first time, I confessed mine back. Later on, we got married. I finally found the world I'd been searching for my whole life. Art was everything in my family. My mom ran the city's premier fine art gallery, and my older sister was a prodigy whose classical oil paintings sold for thousands. From the time I was 7, my weekends were spent in studios, mastering brushwork and color theory. We were known as the city's most cultured family, constantly hosting gallery nights and featured in local arts magazines. Then came the regional art showcase 6 months ago. While helping set up a heavy sculpture exhibit, a steel frame collapsed. I threw my arm out to block it, and the heavy metal crushed my right hand. The nerve damage was permanent. When the bandages came off, my fingers shook uncontrollably whenever I tried to hold a fine brush. Just like that, my ability to paint realistic portraits was gone forever. The temperature in my house dropped overnight. My mom stopped showing my work to gallery visitors. My sister quietly took over my dedicated studio space, moving my easels into the damp laundry room in the basement. I went from being the rising talent to the forgotten child, forced to spend my afternoons cleaning my sister's messy palettes. One afternoon, while sorting through old art crates in the gallery storage, I stumbled upon a stack of canvas from years ago. I recognized the distinct brushwork immediately. It wasn't my sister's. It belonged to an obscure, local street artist who used to rent space from our gallery before moving away. My mom had been quietly buying his unsold work for cheap and passing it off as my sister's early genius phase to build her reputation. When I confronted my sister in her room, holding one of the original signed sketches I found hidden behind a frame, she didn't even flinch. She snatched it out of my hand.
Nobody cares about street artists. Mom turned those sketches into a brand. What are you going to do about it anyway? You can't even hold a pencil straight.
That night, they locked the archive room and revoked my gallery access key. At 7 p.m., sitting on the gallery back steps in the rain, a woman approached me. She was a respected independent curator and arts journalist named Clara.
I saw your sister's new retrospective press release. That technique isn't hers.
I told her to wait till the next day, when the opening gala for my sister's national debut was held. Local collectors, press, and critics filled the gallery. Before my sister could take the stage for the opening toast, Clara walked up to the media podium, holding a stack of canvas. She showed everyone the original paintings which my sister took and made it her own. The room went dead silent. The fraud was laid bare. Collectors demanded immediate refunds, press cameras flashed furiously, and my mom and sister stood frozen on stage. Their standing in the art world was permanently destroyed. Clara walked over to me as the gallery emptied out. She looked at the raw, abstract palette knife sketches I had been quietly making with my left hand in the basement.
You don't need a steady hand to have a vision. You have an eye for authenticity that this family never had. I'm opening an independent gallery for unrefined talent next month. I need an assistant curator who knows what true art looks like.
I took a deep breath, nodded, and walked out into the night, ready to start over on my own canvas. I was born completely deaf. It was isolating, but the worst part was the kids at school. I was waiting at the school gate when suddenly a bunch of friends stole my notebooks and threw them into the pouring rain. I couldn't hear them laughing, but I could feel it. Then Chloe stepped in. She couldn't speak sign language, so she pulled out a paper. It wrote, "You don't need sound to beat them." From that day on, Chloe became my frequency. She didn't just write to me, she taught me how to feel the world. She could press my hands against the trunk of a tree during a thunderstorm so I could feel the rumble of thunder. Whenever the kids tried to bother me, she stepped in and said something that scared them away. She made me feel valuable and special. For years, we were inseparable. Then one day, we was watching the news when we heard about an experimental auditory neural implant. It was a technology that could trigger hearing for people with my condition. Only it would cost $500,000. I handed Chloe a note. I wrote, "I guess I'll always live in quiet." Chloe didn't reply. We sit there in silence for the rest of the afternoon. 2 weeks later, I got an email from the hospital. An anonymous tech firm had fully funded my procedure. I searched for Chloe everywhere to tell her the good news, but she never showed up again. Her house empty. I left her a message, hoping she'd come on the day of the procedure, but she didn't. Maybe she got bored of me, I thought. Maybe I depended too much on her all these years and I became her liability. The surgeon activated the device. For the first time, a low hum filled my head, slowly building into crisp, sharp clarity. The doctors were cheering, my mom was crying, and then a voice message started ringing from my phone. I opened my phone, it was from Chloe. That was the first time and also the last time I heard of her voice.
"If you're hearing this, the implant worked. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you."
Then the doctor explained everything. Chloe had agreed to participate in a neurotech trial as a test subject to pay for my surgery, a trial that carried a 90% fatality rate. The room went quiet just like my world before Chloe. Nobody said a word. Tears started to stream down my face. Just then, I heard footsteps at the door, and when I looked up, I couldn't believe in my eyes. It was Chloe. She rushed in to hug me. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming. "Chloe, I thought you..."
"I guess I'll have to live and bother you with my yapping about dinosaurs then."
The whole room burst into laughter. I never knew the sound of laughter could appear that heavenly before. I was born into a world of flash photography and Michelin star dinners. My mom was a famous model and a high-profile lawyer, a blonde with a serious brain. And my dad was a great chef who owned 2 3-star Michelin restaurants. But perfection didn't last. A car accident took my dad away instantly. Mom shattered. She couldn't sleep, cried constantly, and finally started therapy. But then came the twist. Exactly 6 months later, she remarried. He looked exactly like my dad. He even cooked like him. I absolutely hated it. I hated them. But honestly, I barely saw my mom anyway. She buried herself in work, coming home long after I went to sleep. Years passed. I grew up, accepted reality, and even started helping my stepdad with the chores and cooking. Then came my 16th birthday. We planned a massive party at home. But right on cue, Mom called. A major case came up. She couldn't make it. I was devastated. But my stepdad just smiled, comforted me, and served me this delicious soup. I fell asleep before I could even finish the bowl. When I woke up, I wasn't in my room. I was in my mom's. I asked him what was happening, but he just gave me this totally sus smile. He started walking toward me, creeping closer. I screamed, I cried, but the house was completely empty. Nobody could hear me. In that second, I realized he was a monster. He reached out to touch my hair, and then he collapsed. Turned out my bestie Chloe had snuck in to throw me a surprise party. She saw everything. She caught his evil intentions right in the act. When Mom found out, she went absolutely feral. She filed for divorce the next morning and kicked him out of the house. He was locked away for a long, long time. Life didn't exactly go back to normal, because suddenly Mom wasn't busy anymore. She stayed home. She even tried to learn how to cook, even though her skills were literally the worst. But honestly, we were finally healing, and that was all that mattered. My family wasn't like any other family. My mom, dad, and sister all had blazing red hair and the power to create fire. They made millions doing TV interviews and performing, while I, the ordinary blonde kid with 0 abilities, stayed home to cook and clean. To make my own cash, I took a part-time job at a local restaurant. One evening, walking home from work, I saw our house fully ablaze from afar. Panic hit me, instantly followed by burning fury at my own uselessness. I couldn't help them. But then, something shifted inside me. The air grew freezing. I lifted my arms, channeled the intense cold rushing through my veins, and released it. A massive blast of ice snuffed the fire out instantly. My family stumbled out, safe. I gasped, finally realizing the truth. My ability wasn't fire, it was ice. I ran to tell them, expecting hugs, but when they saw me, they screamed. They blamed me for not taking care of the house, accusing me of letting the fire happen. They kicked me out on the street the next day. From then on, I worked at the restaurant in the daytime and slept wherever I could, from the bus stop to the street bench. Weeks later, the news broke. My family had vanished right after a major interview. Despite how they treated me, I couldn't just leave them to die. I tracked their schedule to an abandoned house outside the city. When I arrived, it was already engulfed in flames. I didn't hesitate. I used my ice to freeze the fire, bursting into the room where they were trapped. Their jaws dropped when they saw who was saving them. Turned out it was a setup. The kidnapper was a bitter magician who had lost his job to my family's real power fame. He was put in jail after all that he'd done. Things went back to normal. Well, for me at least. One morning, when I was working at the restaurant, my family walked in. They apologized. They wanted me to come back. My mom and my sister bursted into tears, and my dad even kneeled down to beg me to go home. I didn't know what to do. Should I forgive my family and go back to them? I was walking back from my late shift around midnight when the heavy rain started coming down in sheets. My phone was dead, and the streets were completely dark. Suddenly, a bright pair of headlights pulled up slowly to the curb right beside me. A middle-aged man in his police officer suit rolled down his window.
Excuse me, miss.
He called out over the rain.
See that guy in the black raincoat 20 yards behind you? He's been trailing you.
Then he told me to get in his car and he'd drive me home safely. I looked back over my shoulder. A shadowed figure in a drenched black coat was standing under a dim streetlight. He was staring straight at me, holding a long, heavy axe in his hand. My heart dropped. I didn't even hesitate. I yanked the passenger door open, slid inside, and slammed it shut. The driver comforted me with a warm smile, reaching over to click the child lock buttons on the driver console.
You're completely safe in here.
He pulled back onto the road, but as we drove, my instincts started screaming. Instead of taking the main avenue toward my house, he made a sharp turn into an industrial warehouse zone. I confronted him, but he didn't look at me. His smile had completely vanished. The car slowed down in a pitch-black alley, then stopped next to a strange black car. A man stepped out of that car. It was the man in the drenched black raincoat, holding the axe. My blood ran ice cold. The police officer wasn't saving me. They both were the bad guys. He got out of the car and talked to the axe man for a while. I knew they were up to something terrible. Right then, I threw my weight over the center console. I slammed my foot onto the gas pedal with everything I had. I grabbed the steering wheel and slammed on the horn to draw any attention I could. I didn't know how long I had driven. I saw the police department and stopped the car. I rushed inside and told the police officer everything. I blacked out before he could say anything in reply. The next morning, I woke up to a horrifying news. 2 men arrested in the neighboring state for a ring of targeted abductions. The man in the black raincoat was the spotter. He would visibly follow women at night holding a weapon to terrorize them into seeking help. The man in the police officer jacket was the trapper. He would offer a safe ride away from the stalker and drive them straight into an isolated staging ground. The article noted that they had been operating for nearly 3 years, and I was the only victim who had ever escaped. I was always the popular girl and the main character, until that car accident that took everything away. I was hospitalized for nearly 2 years and unable to move my legs. It was me all alone then one day. My mom decided to move me to another room. There, I met my other 2 friends who were the same age as me. We quickly become close, especially me and Chloe. Patricia seemed a bit off, but I couldn't ask for more. But my condition doesn't get any better. I still couldn't move my legs, and it made me furious and desperate. The 3 of us were still bedridden, but Chloe's bed was right next to the big window. She kept talking about the big tulip garden outside, how the flowers would bloom in spring, and if we could get better by then, we'd go camping there.
There is a cat too. An orange cat sleeps under the sun.
You guys must go see it, she said. Chloe's words inspire me and Patricia a lot. It was winter back then, and we started to gain hope back. Weeks later, I could move my legs, and after a month, I could walk a bit. Patricia was getting better too. Christmas and New Year passed by. Then came spring. That night, I was unable to sleep. I was so excited, because weather would be clear the next day, and the doctor said I could go out. The 3 of us talked a lot that night, and even when I fell asleep, I could still hear Chloe's voice next to me. The next morning, I was the first one to wake up, but to my surprise, Chloe wasn't there. Her illness got worse, and her family decided to move her out. I ran as fast as I could to the window, hoping she was out there in the blooming garden. But there was no garden at all. It was just grass.
Stupid girl. She lied to us.
Patricia said, then walked away. I sit there by the window, crying. Chloe wasn't stupid. She was hope. She was our guardian angel. Without her, I could never make it. 10 years passed, and my life was totally back to normal. It was spring again, and as I was walking in the street, I saw a familiar face just crossing my road. As I turned back in, I saw her, standing there, waving at me with the biggest smile on her face. It was Chloe. I ran towards her and wrapped her in my arms.
I came back to fulfill my promise. Let's go camping together.
Of course, liar. I inherited an old vintage camera from my grandfather. One day, while I was cleaning the lens, the shutter accidentally clicked and a photo popped out, except it wasn't a photo. It was a real, fully loaded $1,000 gift card. I took it to the store and it actually worked. The next day, I tried it again. Just as another card printed out, my bestie Patricia burst into my room and saw the whole thing. I begged her to keep it a secret, and she swore on her life she wouldn't tell a soul. The very next morning, 2 guys wearing official factory tech support uniforms knocked on my door. They claimed my grandfather's camera was flagged as stolen factory property, and they needed to take it in for a serial number audit. A whole month went by, and I heard absolutely nothing. I went to Patricia's house crying my heart out because it was the last thing my grandfather left me. To comfort me, Patricia insisted I stay the night at her place. Late that night, I woke up to a strange, repetitive mechanical clicking sound coming from her basement. But as I walked down the hall to check, Patricia suddenly stepped out of nowhere, blocking my vision. She told me she already checked and it was just a broken water pipe, forcing me back to bed. The next morning, I went home, but my sarcastic intuition told me something was horribly wrong. That afternoon, Patricia's family went out for a big celebratory dinner. Knowing it was wrong, but fighting for a bigger purpose, I sneaked back into her house through the window. I opened her closet and my jaw dropped. There were the 2 fake tech support uniforms. I rushed to the other room and threw the door open. There it was, my grandfather's camera, hooked up to an automated machine making it print over and over again. They were using it to print a fortune. Just when I was about to get out, I heard people laughing at the door. My bestie's family had gone home earlier than I expected. I quickly scanned around the room and ran to a corner to hide. Fortunately, they went straight to the upper stairs, making me get back home safe and sound. For me, I didn't just take my camera back. I grabbed their laptop containing all the security footage of them planning the scam. I packaged it up and gave it anonymously to the real police department. The second Patricia and her family pulled back into the driveway, the real cops were waiting for them. They were put straight in jail for grand theft and fraud. Finally, I got my grandfather's legacy back, and I also learned that some secrets are meant to be kept far away from fake friends. I thought I was the happiest child in the world until my parents passed away, leaving me and my brother behind. My brother Julian had to give up his college scholarships to work 2 jobs just to keep us together. We lived in a tiny studio, ate cheap noodles, but we never gave up. Julian would stay up all night drawing, since his dream was to become a comic artist. I also practiced drawing and even wrote a story based on my arts. Julian was amazed when he saw my stories. I thought life was being nice to us again. Just then, the strange accidents started to happen. First, my brakes failed on a steep hill. A week later, while I was sleeping, a ghostly creature appeared at my bed foot, threatening me. Then Julian kept receiving anonymous letters claiming our family was cursed by our father's unpaid debts, and that I was the target. To protect me, Julian said I had to disappear for a while. He locked me in our apartment's windowless storage basement. Every night, he'd brought me a plate of food and bottled water, telling me how much he missed me and how hard he was working to fix everything. I spent 2 months agonizing in that dark room. Desperate to help Julian, I spent my days drawing full graphic novel concepts on scrap paper, hoping he could sell my art online. One evening, a fire alarm went off. Smoke filled the basement. I pounded on the door, screaming for Julian, but nobody came. I had to kick through the door and got out. When I finally reached our street, I saw Julian standing by a truck, packing up his things. When he saw me, he didn't run to hug me. He looked horrified. He threw a stack of cash at my feet, yelled that I was on my own, and drove off, leaving me standing in the cold rain. Broken and homeless, I spent the night in a 24-hour diner. The owner, an elderly publisher, noticed me sketching on napkins. He looked at my art, saw potential, and offered me an apprenticeship on the spot. Over the next 4 years, he became like a grandfather to me. He published my graphic novel series, which went on to become a global bestseller. When he retired, he left his publishing house and his house to me. Years passed. One day, Julian showed up at my front door. He was wearing worn-out clothes, gaunt and trembling. Despite everything, he was still the brother who raised me. I brought him to my house and gave him a guest room. By morning, Julian was vanished, along with the laptop containing my unpublished manuscript worth millions. I immediately called the police. 2 hours later, officers intercepted Julian at the airport. I rushed to the police station to see him. There, he started to tell me everything. There were no father's debts. There was no curse. The brake failure, the ghost. Julian staged every single accident to make me paranoid, so I'd willingly hide in that basement. He kept me locked away because he was selling my artwork and stories under his name to a major studio, making a fortune. And when the studio demanded a full-length book, he couldn't deliver, so he set the basement fire to destroy the evidence, cut ties, and run. He came back because he ran out of my ideas and needed to steal more. Julian was arrested and sentenced to prison for fraud, arson, and illegal confinement. Days went by. I still trembled at what happened. The person who I thought was my light just waiting for the right moment to steal my spark. I forgave him, but he was just a stranger to me. The real family was the old man who gave me a hand while I was drowning in the dark. My dad is a world-famous scientist, but one morning, he looked at me with pure panic in his eyes and told me he had to flee the country immediately. I begged him to stay, but he was decisive. Before leaving the house, he told me not to open the door for anyone, and he'd come back soon. Hours later, my heart shattered. The news reported his plane had crashed with no survivors, but before I could even process the grief, the front door burst open. A man in black suit appeared right in front of my eyes, and before I could process what was going on, everything went black. I woke up in a strange room. My hands were all tied up. That man stood over me, holding a phone to my face. He told me to call my dad in a blunt, aggressive way. "He's gone. Have you seen the news?" I said. That news was fake. "Call him or you'd never leave this room," he replied. I frantically dialed his number. The phone rang once, and my dad picked up immediately. He asked me if I was okay, and then he told the black suit man to never hurt me. The man smirked, typing rapidly on a tracking device. A couple of hours later, the cell door opened, and guards shoved my dad into the room with me. He rushed over to hug me. "What would happen to us, Dad?" I asked. "I would never let anyone hurt you, sweetheart," he replied. Suddenly, sirens echoed outside, and a SWAT team rushed in, led by a police officer. Turned out the corporate tech company my dad worked for had been conducting highly illegal, dangerous research. When he found out, he tried to fly to another country to hand the evidence over to international authorities. In the end, the CEO and his men in suits were thrown in jail for life. The nightmare was finally over. The truth was out. The bad guys were behind bars. And best of all, I finally had my dad back by my side. I was born into a beautiful, loving family, even though I had strange green hair. But my world shattered when both of my parents passed away when I was only 12. My best friend's family adopted me, and it changed my life forever. I thought they were being kind, but as soon as I moved in, I was forced to sleep in the dark basement. They also made me do all the cooking and cleaning while I could only eat their leftovers. But I stayed grateful just to have a roof over my head. One day, while combing my long hair, a few strands fell to the ground. Right before my eyes, they turned into sparkling emeralds. Just then, my best friend burst in and saw everything. She screamed for her parents. They rushed into my room and cut off my hair to sell it, but greed backfired. My best friend rushed back crying. It turned out my hair only turned to emeralds if I cut it. When they did, it just vanished into thin air. Suddenly, their attitude completely changed. They moved me into a gorgeous, cozy bedroom and invited me to eat dinner at the main table. I thought they finally loved me, but as my hair grew back, they demanded I cut it to pay them back for housing me. I realized they only loved my hair, not me. I took the scissors, cut it myself, and they took all the emeralds away. That night, while they were out celebrating their new wealth, I packed my things and ran away. It was time to live on my own terms. I rented a tiny house, working and studying as hard as I could. I refused to use my hair to get rich because my mom always told me how much she loved my long looks. I only trimmed it when it got too long, and I donated every single penny to charity. Years of hard work paid off the day I got my acceptance letter to Yale University. Walking down the street to celebrate, I saw 3 beggars crying on the pavement. I stopped in shock. It was my old best friend and her parents. They had spent all the money I gave them extravagantly and ended up completely broke. Recognizing me, they fell to their knees, begging me to cut my hair and save them. But I just turned around and walked away. I realized you could never give enough to those who were driven by greed. True wealth isn't what's on your head, it's what's in your heart. I was born with rainbow hair, literally. Sounded like a fairy tale, right? Turned out it was a thriller. I was combing my hair. A few long strands of glowing yellow, red, and green hair fell onto the ground. They instantly shifted into gold coins, raw rubies, and glittering emerald. I was still in shock. I didn't realize my 2 best friends, Patricia and Chloe, had already been witnessing it all. Patricia told me to sell them all and get the money, while Chloe told us not to tell what happened to anyone, at any costs. That night, when I was sleeping, I heard a loud bang on the door. I opened my eyes and saw a shadow appearing at the foot of my bed. Then everything turned into black, and when I opened my eyes again, I was in Patricia's room. Her parents were looking at me like I was some sort of angel on earth. Well, I was, but the way they stared at me was just uncanny. Then they started to cry. They told me about Patricia having cancer and they needed money. Patricia had told them about my $1 million hair. They begged me to help them out. I was confused, but Patricia was my best friend. I couldn't watch her die. I said yes, so they took the shears and chopped my hair off. The next morning, I went to school expecting to see all my friends. Instead, I got the alien treatment. People whispered, people ran. Only Chloe stood by me, and she revealed a bitter truth. Patricia was paying anyone who ignored me $100 a pop. I immediately confronted Patricia. I caught up to her in the empty chemistry hall. She laughed right in my face. Then she admitted her family tricked me, that she always hated me, and she was using the money from my hair against me. "Yeah, we played you, so what?" she said, then walked away. But who did she think she was messing with? I pulled the phone out of my pocket. I'd recorded our whole conversation. Later on, Patricia got expelled. Her parents are facing fraud, extortion, and grand theft. They were put in jail. And as for the friends who took her $100 bribes, they lost the money, they lost their dignity, and they surely lost the privilege of being my friend. But I earned a big lesson about true friendship. And guess what? Hair always grew back, didn't they? I thought my life would be better when a woman came and adopted me at the orphanage. But one night, right in front of my eyes, she was dying, and we were so poor we couldn't even afford medical bills. As I knelt down next to her, holding her cold hands, she whispered her final words.
"Save your tears, darling. I have to go now because my time has come, but you're powerful."
I didn't know it then, but those words would change my life forever. I became an orphan again. But not long after, a wealthy couple who owned a massive candy company adopted me. When I arrived at their home, I found out their other adopted adopted daughter had rainbow hair too. And when she combed her hair, delicious candy spilled right out of it. I thought they'd kicked me out once they found out that my hair was just normal, but they loved me anyway. They gave me a cozy bedroom, endless toys, fancy dinners. For the first time, I felt truly blessed. Then, the nightmare started. At night, the TV would turn on by itself. A creepy voice whispered my name. Mysterious threat letters started to show up in our mailbox. The police couldn't help, so my parents decided the house was haunted and we had to move. On the night we packed up, we were waiting at the front door. Suddenly, my sister gasped and insisted we go first. She said she forgot some stuff in her room. She'd go take it and catch up with us later. We got into the car. Dad was driving smoothly until he slammed his foot on the pedal and screamed. The brakes were dead. Everything went black. I woke up in the ICU. The doctor told me both my parents were in a deep, irreversible coma. I couldn't believe it. I ran into my parents' room. I cried my heart out, and when my tears splashed onto my parents' hands, a warm glow filled the room. Their eyes fluttered open. They were awake. They were completely alive and healthy. Just then I realized my tears had the power to heal. Suddenly my sister rushed into the room. She admitted that she was behind the car accident. We were shocked. The one whom I loved wholeheartedly said she wanted to harm us. The police started to investigate and the truth finally came out. My sister's biological parents had found her and manipulated her into taking the family's money. She thought it was just a scam for cash. She didn't realize her real parents were cutting the car's brakes. They were arrested and sent to prison for life. Overwhelmed with guilt and shame, my sister tried to hurt herself, but I found her just in time. I sit next to her, letting my tears fall onto her until she woke up. When she opened her eyes, our parents were standing right beside us. We didn't yell. We didn't seek revenge. We comforted her. We said we missed her and we wanted her to come back. Because deep down, she was just a hurt girl who made a terrible mistake, and love was the one thing that could heal us all. Yesterday I did a very bad thing. I know it was bad because when I did it, Mommy screamed a loud, scary scream, and she grabbed my arm so tight it kind of hurt. We were in Daddy's special room upstairs. Mommy was cleaning while I was playing with my teddy bear. Just then, I saw a gluing red button on the wall. Daddy always tells me, "Honey, you never touch the big red button over there. Never ever." But Daddy wasn't home, and the button was just sitting there, looking like a giant cherry. It looked so pretty. So I stood on my tippy toes, and I pressed it. Mommy's face went completely white. She looked at me like I was a monster. Mommy started crying and dragging me down to the garage by my wrist. Then, the loud neighbors from next door came running across the lawn. They were yelling too. I tried to tell them I was just trying to help, but Mommy shoved me into the garage and locked the door. It was completely dark. I could hear them outside whispering, calling me a destructive brat. Then the loud siren started. Red and blue lights flashed through the cracks under door. I heard heavy boots running into our house. Men with loud voices grabbed Mommy and the neighbors, yelling, "Evacuate! Get out right now!" I hammered on the door with my little fists, crying. They all ran away and left me behind in the dark. I knew right then that I was the worst girl in the whole world. I ruined our family. They hated me so much they left me. But then, the door clicked open. It wasn't Mommy, it was a fireman in a big, heavy suit. He scooped me up in his arms, and as we ran out of the house, the fireman looked down at me, comforted me, and he smiled. He told me, "You're a hero, little lady. If you hadn't pressed that emergency breaker button, the gas leak in your basement would have sparked. The whole block would have gone up in flames." I looked over at the sidewalk. Mommy and the neighbors were sitting in the back of an ambulance, looking completely heartbroken and guilty. When Mom saw me, she ran towards me, wrapped me in her arms. She kept asking if I was all right. "I didn't press the red button out of nothing," I said. "I pressed it because I smelled the funny skunk smell coming from the vents." And I remembered Daddy saying that the big red button turns off all the power when things get dangerous. I just wanted to keep Mommy safe. Mom bursted into tears and kept saying she was sorry. I've done the right thing, haven't I? I was born with a severe voice condition. My voice sounded insanely raspy, almost like a broken whisper. Because of that, my dad hated me. My sister always made fun of my voice. Dad was obsessed with public speaking and called me an embarrassment to the family name. He gave all his affection to my sister, who was a champion debate team kid. At home, I wasn't allowed to speak at family dinners. Even when I tried to say something, my mom and dad always turned away when my sister just raised the TV volume. At school, people called me weirdo and refused to do group projects with me. One day, Josh joined our school. He was the quiet kid who transferred from out of state. The first time I tried to apologize for my voice during a paired assignment, Josh just smiled. He said my voice sounded like a dark, gritty movie narrator. It was super cool. He was the first person who ever listened to me without laughing. We became inseparable. Josh was big into making horror video games and begged me to voice the villain in his project. I was terrified, but he convinced me to step up and own my voice. When the game was released, my voice acting went viral on every social platform. Fans were obsessed with how eerie and unique it sounded. A major audio drama studio reached out and offered me a voiceover contract worth thousands of dollars. With my earnings, I I bought my own house and moved out the day I turned 18. Meanwhile, my sister got caught cheating on her debate tournament and her reputation crumbled. One day, my dad and sister showed up at my front door. Dad said he was proud of me and demanded I pay off my sister's college tuition. When I said no, my sister started kicking my door and screaming insults outside. I called security and had them escorted off the property for trespassing. Months later, I got a call from Mom. She was severely ill and she wanted to see me. I rushed to the hospital. I used my money to save her from her illness. She could do me wrong, but I couldn't watch her die because she was still my mom after all. Later on, my family waited for me outside my house and begged me to come back, but I'd made up my mind. I said I forgave them for everything they'd done to me, but I could never stay with them. I turned away, walked inside my own house. I'd never felt that much relieved in my life before. I was born in a happy, beloved family. We all had glowing rainbow hair, and it was our family's most valuable trait. My parents loved me and my sister equally. We got matching clothes, matching toys, just like twins. We made fun family videos and uploaded them on the internet. People loved us. They called us angels on earth. I thought life couldn't get any better until a car accident took everything away. I woke up in an ICU room and my hair was completely gone. Instead, it turned into purple. As soon as we arrived home, my parents called me bad luck and my sister started to ignore me. My family kept making videos without me. In order to stay in, I scrubbed the floors and slept in the garage. One day when I was sleeping, my sister sneaked inside and cut my hair. She then called me a witch and walked away. But to my surprise, every purple strand on the floor turned into glowing, perfect purple diamonds. I intended to sold the diamond and got the money to buy my family gifts to make them like me again. But when I woke up the next day, my family already saw the diamonds. They accused me of stealing until I told them everything. When they found out about my purple diamond hair, they immediately cut it all off, then sell them all to get the money. That night, when they went out to celebrate, I stayed at home all alone. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the door and a strange woman wearing a mysterious mask walked in. I still didn't know what was happening. Then everything turned into black. When I woke up, I was in a strange room. I thought I was kidnapped and about to scream for help, but the woman who took me there then took off her mask. She looked like an angel to me. I couldn't say a word. She looked at me for a while and said I shouldn't have sold my diamond hair. I told her it wasn't me who cut the hair and sold it. It was my family.
They will learn their lesson then.
Please don't hurt them. They were my family after all, I begged her.
They aren't your family, honey. What kind of family will abandon their child?
She said, then snapped. The next minute, I found myself standing next to her in our living room. Well, we were invisible, to be honest. My family was dancing and filming at that time. They were live streaming. The woman next to me snapped her finger and my family's hair turned into normal brown hair just like anyone else. Turned out they weren't my family after all. They adopted me when I was little and their rainbow hair was just fake. They dyed it and took advantage of it to make money. My ex-family finally learned their lesson. They lost their fans, they lost all their money. The woman later revealed a shocking truth. I was born in the wizard and witchcraft family. I didn't belong in this normal world. My world were full of magic. The woman then asked me if I was ready to go back to my real world because it needed me, the princess of a magical land. I nodded. I was ready to embark on the most adventurous journey ahead, and most importantly, I was finally home. We were playing at the beach. My sister fell asleep and I thought I saw a mermaid from far away. Before I could even scream, a tide drowned me. Everything went black, then bright white. I woke up hovering right above the sand. Mia was on her knees, staring at my body, shaking and screaming my name. I reached out to touch her shoulder, but my hand went right through her. That was when it hit me. I was a ghost. A faint, glowing light appeared above me. A voice whispered,
You can return to your body, but only when your sister lets go of her guilt.
The paramedic rushed me to the ICU. I stayed in a coma, hooked up to a dozen monitors. At home, everything fell apart. Mom hid in her room, refusing to look at Mia. At school, kids whispered in the hallway, pointing at her like she was a monster. Mia stopped eating. During lunch, she'd sit at the far edge of the bleachers, leaving an empty spot next to her with my favorite strawberry milk. I sat right beside her every single day, but she couldn't see me. Late at night, Mia would sneak into my bedroom. She'd sit on the floor, clutching my teddy bear, the one she gave me on my birthday. She kept whispering sorry and cried nonstop. I tried to wipe the tears off her cheeks, but my ghost hands couldn't feel her warmth. Weeks passed. One freezing night, Mia grabbed my teddy, walked all the way back to the sea. She sat right at the edge of it. Tears dripped into the sand as she whispered,
I'm so sorry, Maddie. I failed you, but I always felt your presence next to me. Please give me a sign. Please.
I knelt beside her and whispered into her ear, It wasn't your fault, Mia. I already forgive you. Now you have to forgive yourself and live your life. For the first time, Mia stopped shaking. She looked straight into my eyes as if she could feel my warmth. She sobbed softly and whispered,
I forgive myself.
The glowing light pulled me back. I gasped, opening my eyes to the bright hospital lights. Mia was sitting right by my bed. When she saw me, she burst into tears and pulled me into the tightest hug ever. I smiled and whispered, Thanks for recognizing me, Mia. The world had gone mad. Zombies had came in and attacked our town. There were just me and my sister left in our house. We only got to step outside 30 minutes a day. The rest of the time, we were just furniture waiting to gather dust. One day, I got back home after going to the grocery store to buy some milk, and my sister was lying painfully on the floor. She was attacked by a zombie when I was away. I rushed towards her and held her tight, hoping for a miracle to happen. No, look at me, please. But this wasn't a fairy tale. My prey couldn't prevent my sister from transforming into a soulless zombie. Suddenly, the front door was kicked open. A young soldier in tactical gear stormed in, baseball bat raised, aimed straight at my sister. I begged him not to hurt her because she was my sister, the only family I had left. "Move, or I'll have to put you both down," he said. My sister growled, but instead of lunging at me, she stepped between me and the soldier, letting out a protective, defensive roar, shielding me. We were shocked. She didn't want to attack us like the other zombies. She wanted to protect you. She might be the cure. We need to get her to the hospital. Now, the young soldier said. We got out carefully to the eerie, abandoned street. Suddenly, a feral zombie screeched, leaping from an alleyway straight at us. The soldier tackled the zombie midair. They crashed to the pavement in a brutal struggle. The zombie bit deep into the soldier's shoulder, making him collapse onto the floor. He tried to gasp for breath and told us to keep going. "Just leave me alone," was his last words. We ran as fast as we could while tears kept streaming down my face. We finally made it to the hospital. It took weeks, then months, but the doctors found it. Hidden inside my sister's blood was the miracle we'd been praying for, the cure to zombie pandemic. The world was waking up again. Schools were opening. Life was back to normal, all because of a hero who gave everything to give us a tomorrow. My family kicked me out of the house, but they had no idea my sadness was worth a literal fortune. My sister was born with a magical gift. Whenever she cried, tiny flakes of real gold dust fell from her eyes. My parents built an empire off her golden tears, but me? Nothing. Because I didn't make them rich, I had to earn my keep by doing all the cooking and cleaning. While they traveled the world, I lived on their leftovers. On my sister's birthday, they threw a massive red carpet party. When I tried to join, my mother locked me in my room, saying I'd ruin the family brand. The next day, I walked home from school but the door was locked. Parents threw all my stuff outside. They said I was their adopted child and it was time for me to live on my own, alone in the pouring rain. The pain was too much, and I finally let myself cry. But as my tears hit the cold ground, they hardened into diamonds. I sold them and earned millions of dollars. Having nowhere to go, I walked down the road while it was pouring. A poor old couple found me shivering on the street. They brought me into their cozy home and adopted me as their own daughter. They didn't care about wealth, they just wanted me to feel safe. One day, I went passing my family on the street. Turned out my sister ran out of tears as soon as my family kicked me out. Then a fire took everything away from them. The next day, I received a call from my old parents. They said my sister was terribly sick and they needed money to cure her. They've heard about my diamond tears and they begged me to help. Even after everything, I couldn't let her die. I locked myself in my room, forced myself to remember the day they threw me out, and I cried a mountain of diamonds to pay for her surgery. A month later, my old family stood outside my house and begged me to come back, but it was too late. I walked inside. My happy home was waiting for me. No diamonds could compare with their heart of gold. I was the eldest sister in a family of triplets, but around here, I was just nobody. My twin sisters, Patricia and Patritri, were my mom's favorites. Patricia was a famous teen actress, and Patritri had a golden voice. Everyone called her the next Britney Spears. They had fans all over the world, while I was just their completely normal sister. They spent their nights dining at the finest restaurants while I stayed home, surviving on whatever leftovers they brought back. I used to stare at the ceiling every night, wishing I had just one advantage like them, but carefully what you wish for. Last Tuesday, I was walking home from school in the rain when everything changed. A massive van lost control, speeding straight toward a crowd of innocent people. I ran forward, caught the front of the speeding van, and literally pushed it away with my bare hands. That was the moment I realized I wasn't a normal human being. I was a supergirl. I went home, crafted a secret suit, and started going out at night to rescue people from the darkest corners of the city. Within days, the news was completely flooded. Supergirl saves the city was on every single headline. One morning, my family sat on the couch, staring at the TV. Patricia sighed.
I wish Supergirl was our sister.
And Mom agreed, saying she'd give anything to have a daughter that special. They had no idea the girl they were worshipping on screen was currently dusting their living room. But fame always brought a target. It was a rainy Sunday, and I was resting upstairs when a piercing scream echoed from downstairs. I rushed to the balcony and saw a thief holding my family hostage. He had been tracking my sister's fame and address for months. My sisters were crying, and Mom was completely frozen. I sprinted to my room, threw on my suit, and dropped down right between them and the thief. He didn't stand a chance against super strength. In 5 seconds, he was completely neutralized. I pulled off my mask. Everybody was shocked. They told me how sorry they were for treating me like an afterthought. I could have held a grudge, but family was family. I forgave them. We finally became a real team, and from that day on, we lived happily ever after.
One night, a strange man sneaked into my house and took me away. That incident had changed my life forever. My name is Sophia. This is my sister and my parents. They all have brown hair while my hair is sapphire blue. When I was 8 years old, my parents took me to the hair salon to get my hair cut, and I discovered a shocking truth there. Every blue strand on the floor turned into real sapphires. Everyone was too shocked to say a word. That night when I was sleeping, I heard a strange noise. And when I woke up, I saw a strange man standing right in front of me. Then everything turned into black until I opened my eyes again. And my hair was all gone. I cried my heart out and screamed for help, but nobody could hear me. From that day on, there was a guy bringing me food. And when my hair got any longer, he came in and cut it. Time passed by, and as I started to accept my fate, one day, a police officer suddenly came in and rescued me. But then, he told me a shocking truth. My mom had passed away because she was too sad when I left. Dad got hit by a car while looking for me everywhere. There were just me and my sister now, and the police couldn't find the one who was behind all this. I was furious. I must seek revenge by myself, for Mom, and for Dad. I knew this had something to do with the hairdresser who cut my hair years ago. So I came to the hair salon, but he was no longer there. I spent all my time and money for detectives all over the world. And finally, I find out the hairdresser's social media. He was enjoying his luxurious life in his own island. No way did he get all that money from cutting people's hair. I'd figure it out soon because I was about to fly 1,000 miles to see him on the next day. It'd be the end of him, and me maybe. That night, I spent all night talking to my sister. Then I gave her all the money that I had saved up for her. She fell asleep right next to me, and I knew it was time for me to leave. I finally make it to the hairdresser's place. To my surprise, he admitted all his fraud. I couldn't stand this anymore, and as I pulled out my last move, someone jumped out and stopped me. It was my sister. Turned out she had known about my revenge plan and followed me here. But how could the two of us fight against them? Right then, the police officer came in and caught them red-handed. Finally, I and my sister had arrived home. A couple had been waiting for us there. They were my parents' close friends, and they wanted to adopt us. That night, after so many years of nightmares, I had my first vivid dream. I saw my parents smile at me across the road. As I turned my head, my new family already standing by my side. We all waved at each other with the biggest and happiest smile on our faces.
Breaking news, a mermaid has been seen in Berry Avenue.
Oh my gosh.
The local authority will reward $1 million to whoever can capture her.
That's crazy.
Guys, have you seen a human fish?
You mean a mermaid?
Exactly.
No, and I don't think...
Hello?
Ryan, are you hunting the mermaid too?
Don't you want $1 million for yourself?
I think she's went that way.
Bye, have a great time.
Honey, did you really see the mermaid?
No, but I think we gotta go find her soon.
For what?
We need to find her and let her go back to the ocean. Who knows what they can do to her?
Oh my gosh, we found her.
Let me carry her then.
Yoink.
Honey, I'm so proud of you.
Yoink.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing here?
I'm falling in love.
Breaking news. A vampire has been seen in Berry Avenue.
I know it's some random kid pretending to be a vampire.
Last time, a girl tried to be a mermaid and she was charged $1 million.
Open the door.
Oh my gosh, what's going on?
Babe, let me go check it. Babe, don't worry, he's gone.
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, how did you get in here?
The window.
Stay away from us or I'll call the police.
What do you mean? I'm just dressing up for a school play. But be careful. There's a real vampire out there.
Bye, have a great time. Hello.
Girl, it's late.
Is Josh home?
Yes, he's at his home. Why?
Because I'm about to do something really bad to you.
Oh my gosh, help!
No one will save you.
Say it again.
I love you.